Welcome to the lab. It was kind of amusing today. I was watching videos over lunch, well, after lunch. Had a short lunch with my wife, and then came back and had 45 minutes or so to kill before my lunch hour was over. So I watched a few videos, and one of them was Jenny's Garage, which is another YouTube channel. And I particularly like the guy's presentation. He's pretty funny fellow, but he was having a problem with an older dryer, and his problem turned out to be different than the problem that my dryer had. But I thought, for the sake of it, I was going to, put this out there. The dryer that I've got's probably, I bought it before I got married. I've been married for 13 years. The person that had it before that had it for a few years. And my washer and dryer have been, working for the better part of 20 years. Something like that. So I'm loath to get rid of them. I'm betting that if I bought any new washer and dryer, the day after the warranty, something's going to go wrong with it, and it's not going to be something simple that I can fix. And I had never before, probably about 6 years ago, I had never opened a washer or a dryer. First thing that happened was the washer's door switch busted. I mean, it physically just gave out and broke in half, so when you'd close the door, it wasn't moving because the little presser would not hit anything, and so it didn't depress anything, and so the thing would never spin. It would never do anything. It would fill up with water and then just sit there and stare at you. So I ordered a part online to replace that little bit, and I replaced that little bit, and it worked famously after. So it worked. Then the dryer stopped heating. That was a couple of years later. And because it's a curious piece of hardware, I've kept the broken part. I'll show you now. There's the heater coils. Now you can say, how did I know? Well, I did a continuity test on these two pins right here. And continuity is broken. When you're talking about a heater coil, continuity is broken. There's no fuses, nothing inside. It is broken, and this one was. So I've always kind of thought this was kind of an interesting thing, because it just up and snapped, and you feel this, and it's pocked. It's very rough. I imagine it's oxidized through use, and it just becomes brittle. And then at some point, I don't know what happens. A particularly large piece of dust or a pre-existing flaw in the coil just finally gives out. The thing snaps, and when it snaps, odds are pretty good it's heated. And that means it's red hot. There's electricity running through there. And so when it's red hot, it kind of goes boing. And any tension that was there is released. And then it cools and freezes in that position. So you're not going to get this break that's like a little, it's not going to be like this. That's not going to be the break you're seeing. You're going to see a break like this. And that's sure enough what happened. So when I saw Jenny's Garage, having their issue, which was different, distinctly, than the one I had, my vents were cleaned. There wasn't any, the duct work was all cleaned out and stuff. Although it was kind of interesting that they have the dryer duct on the roof. I haven't seen that around here. It's not normal. It's usually a little flap on the side of the house. The roof, I would think, would be a better option, because one other problem that I did have one time was a pack rat got into the ductwork and was trapped there, and it took me a while to find it. I could hear rustling, and I was, it's like, where is that guy? I thought we had a mouse somewhere. And finally, I realized it wasn't going to be able to get out, because I could hear it climb up and then hit the galvanized tin and slide back down. There's no traction there, so it couldn't climb any higher than that. It was existing just in the few feet of this kind of ductwork, this stuff here. It was in there, and it could move back and forth fine. Of course, no food, no water. This thing's going to die in there. So I had to cap both ends, which was a bit of a trial in and of itself, because as soon as it sees light, it's going to, afraid it was going to jump out on my face or something. So I capped both sides, one side first, then the other side. Carry this thing out. It's like dangling in the swinging ductwork. I carried it outside and dumped it out, because I wasn't sure what it was. It could have been a baby possum. It could have been a raccoon, a young raccoon. It could have been it was definitely heavier than a mouse. I knew that it wasn't a mouse when I picked the thing up. I was like, well, this is a, sizable animal. I mean, it's not like a Doberman is in there or something, but it had some heft to it. So I dumped it out, and sure enough, this pack rat comes pouring out, sees me, and takes off for the hills. So I went and made sure that the flap was clear, and it was propped open just a little bit. So I cleaned that out so that it would close again, and we haven't had any more visitors of that type since then. But I don't know why I decided that it was kind of funny to go through my fixing of the appliances as a guy that doesn't fix things very often. It's more likely when I try and fix something I'm going to break it. And so I always, when I'm going in, especially as old as these are, I paid $150 for both of them, both the washer and the dryer. So I've gotten my money out. I am more than willing to accept defeat if something horrible happens and I can't get the thing back together again. So I guess I'm not that scared. I don't want to buy a new one, but I'll at least give it a shot. So I wanted to tell my tales of large appliances, and I'm out of time. Keep going.